Hello everyone, my name is Kitetsu and welcome back to my channel. I'm not going to make this a really long one again because I don't think it needs to be. I just want to gloss over what my thoughts are on all of the new news for basically SLAANESH from the faction focus we had, which I think actually came out yesterday. Day before yesterday now, this one was Sunday, but the reason I really want to talk about this one is because I basically just saw this piece of artwork, fell in love with it and thought, okay, tonight I'm talking about SLAANESH. So I actually collect SLAANESH, I bought this box set here, and don't judge me, but I've always had a strange fascination with SLAANESH, and actually one of the first ever armies I ever collected in 40k was the Emperor's Children, so me and SLAANESH go back a long way. But yeah, we had this faction focus and it's actually quite interesting because it sounds like they're talking about a faction that is very imminently about to get some kind of massive overhaul. I really do think that we are going to see SLAANESH at some point this year. If not very soon, then maybe towards the end of the year. I've actually made this video here talking about is SLAANESH returning this year. So I've kind of covered all of this already, what I'm saying now, but this Christmas just gone we had Nurgle, the one before that we had all of the Tzeentch stuff, so it just makes sense that SLAANESH is next. They just haven't had an update in so long, so it makes sense. I'm not necessarily going to discuss it in this video because the whole point is that this one is going to be quite a quick one, but I do think there is an importance to the order that they are releasing all of these different faction focuses, and I think it's just adding evidence to the fact we are going to see more SLAANESH quite soon. But basically this whole article is all about who SLAANESH are, and basically, as it says here, they are insatiable hedonists who will kill, reave and pillage in search of new sensations, glory and the attention of their dark master. But for those of you who are keeping up with the lore, SLAANESH was imprisoned by Tyrion and Teclis, Malerion and Marathi, and he is trapped in Ulgish, I think it's called, which is halfway between the realms of light and shadow, and that is exactly what this piece of gorgeous artwork is showing, is his imprisonment in that realm. So we are literally looking at a proper picture of the god himself, SLAANESH, in his imprisonment, and somehow from somewhere around here, this is where the soul extraction process occurs, where all of the elves have been reforged. So this is a very cool piece of artwork. I really do get a little bit overexcited by the artwork whenever they release new pictures like this. It's a bit like there's only been one picture of Dracothian, who's like the amazing star drake that's kind of central to how Sigmar even got to the realms, and they haven't really shown him properly. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I can't actually recall Games Workshop doing official pictures of the gods themselves. I love it, and I love the fact it's not even in detail. But yeah, anyway, I've spoken enough about this picture. I could probably spend an hour talking about it. But back to the actual article. So SLAANESH has been captured, and basically there are now 3 different hosts of SLAANESH. I've got the General's Handbook 2017 in front of me, and these are going to be updated. It even says it in here, or at least the Invaders one is. But yeah, there's 3 groups. There's the Pretenders, the Seekers, and the Invaders. The Pretenders are the groups of people who basically said, yeah, well, SLAANESH is out the way, so now we're going to take over, and if he's not sitting on the throne, then as a powerful demon of SLAANESH, then I deserve to be on that throne, and we don't really care about the god anymore. The Seekers are obviously the best type, hint hint, because they are loyal to the dark god, and they want to go and find him slash her slash it, and they will do anything to track down their god, and they already know that it's got something to do with the elves and the realm of shadows, so yeah, they're off to go and find him. They're the loyalists, basically. And the last ones are the Invaders. I can't really remember what their backstory is. I think they basically just pretend that nothing's changed. They don't really care. They think they're still serving their god, whether they're looking for him or not, so they just go off and basically indulge themselves in all of the pleasures of sensation and glory that they're looking for. But I don't know what it is about SLAANESH that has always had this intrigue over me. I get there's always been this kind of shady, seedy, sexual undertones to SLAANESH, but it's not that that's appealing about them. I think it's this idea of like temptation in all of its forms that is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, this is already going to turn into a really long video if I keep going off on like rants like this, so I will try and be focused, I promise. In fact, everything I just explained about the 3 different bands is all written there, so I will leave a link of this in the description, and and you can read that, but it's basically exactly what I said. Where is Slaanesh? I've already covered that, and why play them? They are all about speed, and I have heard some actual horror tales about how much people have been murdered by hosts of Slaanesh in tournaments. So they're very powerful, and it all relies on speed. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love the latest Daemonette models, and I get that a lot of people preferred the more raunchy classic versions, but I actually prefer these ones, and I don't see the necessity personally for these models to be over-sexualized because it sends out the wrong message about what Slaanesh actually is. But yeah, basically they move really fast, they can re-roll runs, they can charge even though they've run, they get those objectives incredibly quickly, and like even their basic Daemonettes have got rend, they generate all these extra attacks and it's hard for your opponents to hit them. There's a whole load of good stuff. They mention here about the fact that obviously in the new edition you can use more than one of these command abilities. I mean, these two here, we've seen them already, they're old. Excess of Violence, that's the one on the Keeper of Secrets, which means that you can basically pile in and attack twice with a unit, and that is actually exceptionally good. I'm wondering what's going to happen in the new edition if you have more than one Keeper of Secrets. Is it going to be added to the rule of one that you can't use a command ability twice in the same phase? More than likely, but I guess we'll have to watch this space and see how that works. In fact, I haven't ever really looked at the Lord of Slaanesh on a Demonic Mount War Scroll, but that is pretty much the same ability but for mortal Slaaneshi units, so I'm guessing you won't be able to use more than one, but it basically means you could pick a demon unit and a mortal unit and they can both pile in and attack twice. So this was the bit I was a bit annoyed about. They say you've got a ridiculous amount of choice, and in playstyle and army structure, kind of, but when you actually click on Slaanesh, there are 13 results, and one of them is to start collecting sets. That doesn't count. This is a Host of Slaanesh army. That doesn't really count. So already you're down to 11 options. Personally, I'm not a fan of these units. These are very old. This and this is basically the same thing except kind of broken in half. I know some people argue they're not the same, but they kind of are very similar. This is really old. This is ancient. This still looks good, and so does this one, but they're old, and this is in desperate need of an update too. So when they talk about the options, they're talking about mixing things with Slaves to Darkness to give you those options. So to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. Then we get a bit of a player perspective, which is talking about picking one of the 3 hosts that matches your playstyle. They don't even tell you what the 3 do, so I've got the General's Handbook in front of me. So the Pretenders basically let you re-roll hit rolls of 1 for units with 10 or more models when they attack in the shooting or the combat phase. And they also let you have 2 different command traits instead of 1, which is actually pretty cool. Then the Seekers add 1 inch to their movement characteristic, or they add 2 inches if that War Scroll says it's 10 inches or more by default anyway. And then the Invaders one, which they talk about here, this one is actually the old one from the General's Handbook, like word for word, which is saying about having 3 generals instead of 1. Basically, the idea was giving you access to more command abilities. Obviously, the new edition has completely changed and opened everything up so that everyone's going to have more command abilities anyway. So they've said here it's going to be updated, but they haven't actually told us what they're going to do with that. They did tell us here that the new edition will bring even more tantalizing new hints of what's next for the Dark Prince. So that again is just confirming the fact that there is stuff on the way for Slaanesh. He might be imprisoned, but is very, very far from dead. All along, I was thinking we just had to wait to see what would happen to Slaanesh, and that they were never going to kill him, and there was going to be a big plot arc where he escapes, and his storyline is only getting bigger and bigger, so I think personally I was right, but I know some people out there don't agree with me, but that's fine. You know, we can all have our own opinions, it's fine. But yeah, basically the last thing we see is there's a new summoning mechanic in the new edition, based on the Depravity Points system. Now, it's potentially very, very good at first glance because you can summon units, anything from Daemonettes to a Keeper of Secret, without spending reinforcement points. And that sounds absolutely crazy, but I've been saying for literally so long I can't even keep track of it, that they need to change summoning mechanics in Age of Sigmar because something just doesn't work properly. The only thing is the way that you generate the Depravity Points is quite difficult, and I don't know how many points these different units are going to cost, but basically every wound you score that does not kill that particular model, so basically every non-fatal wound they either inflict or suffer, will give them a point. The problem there is most armies you're facing probably have battle line units with 1 wound each, which means you can be killing masses of units and not generating any points. Now, if you're fighting, say, the Stormcast Eternals, that's a different matter because even their battle lines have 2 wounds. You'll be generating these points left, right, and center. But I guess, yeah, it's an interesting idea, and it's definitely more interesting than what they have at the moment. But yeah, basically, it's a thematic idea that they are basically enjoying suffering and cruelty. It also tells us they're not the only faction to receive summoning changes either. That much was obvious, let's face it. But yeah, that's our look at the SLAANESH. So I've probably massively overrun on what was meant to be a quick video, but anyway, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new, and the little bell icon if you want to know when my videos come out, and otherwise I will see you really soon in the next video.